Yeah, okay, right. Next up then, patch 1.1.4 of Classic. New Classic build was pushed to the Blizzard CDN earlier this week, named 1.14, that adds Ray Trace Shadows on DirectX support. When news of this new patch being pushed first dropped, people were hoping for Classic Fresh servers. We don't currently know what their plans are for Classic, but yeah, Dakor recalled earlier that Blizzard had sent out the survey to random players that did talk about like Classic Fresh and things like that. There's some of the survey as an example. We, of course, cover this in the stream when it happened. Has there been any other updates on Classic Fresh?
Nothing beyond this new patch.
So I wonder if, you know what? Can I find Asmongold's Twitter?
I don't think there's been... Because I know this patch is in a very... Or the PTR is in a very strange state, phase-wise. It doesn't exist in any specific phase.
Yeah.
But... Oh, that...
So I just remember he did this... Okay, he did get some shit because he said boob slider. And I don't know, I thought that was... I thought that was obviously a joke. And
definitely a joke.
Yes. But anyway. So he had an example of like a bit of a wish list for a WoW Fresh.
Certainly ambitious.
And it does get you thinking, right?
Yeah.
What would be good here if we are to do some sort of Classic Fresh? I mean, I would absolutely advocate for, something like an old school RuneScape.
Yeah.
Where, they very much listen to their community. It's just like, what is Classic like when you remove the artificial friction? That's his sort of point of generally. And then, I'm thinking, he says new zones. He says voice acting for more quests. What would happen there? And then what would happen if you started to get Classic WoW Fresh, where you are actually putting in, like a new zone, or like those, the way the Hearthstone events like Forged in Barrens, United in Stormwind. What if you just get little things like that? They add some new reps. They need to work this out in terms of numbers, but like, how could they add a new tier?
Yeah.
Would there be a way to do another iteration of class changes to maybe, be a little bit closer to some of the welcome TBC changes some people liked? I just do have to wonder. People are saying about the poop slider. It's like a bit of an ongoing joke and meme. It's just, I think a lot of people want, granular character control. And I mean, yeah, if you're going to do that, I think controls for any dimension of your character are a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Like, do you want a small dude? Do you want a dude with like big ripped pecs?
Not a very big pointy chin
do you want big boobs, medium boobs, small boobs? Do you want, I don't know, a bulge? Even though that's... When you talk about bulge, then you're talking about primary. It's an interesting specific thing where it's like the thing that humans generally find sexy is the secondary sex characteristics, not the primary sex characteristics. And, boob sliders, secondary sex characteristic. Some of that stuff with like, the old muscles and those, big hard pecs and stuff. That's also a secondary sex characteristic. Adam, sure. I think the reason why you're not going to see those in a slidery sense, I mean, you could see a slider that like changes things, but that would be between handmade gradations, because I don't believe the WoW, like the technical side of WoW exists in such a way that you can just, let's just say you want to make the chest a bit smaller, make the character, just grab them and go, whoop. Yeah. Maybe you want their torso to be a bit taller because, people have got different like body plans. That's not different. It's like some people got long legs, some people got short legs, some people got big torsos, small
different
torsos.
Configurations, like
I don't know what BTO is like, but I remember like in EVE Online, it's like I had this character and I could grab his waist and just like move it in and out. Nice. Do I want it big or small? Do I want just grab the nose, grab like the different sort of sections of it? But it's just like that requires a fundamentally different approach to actually how your characters work in the game to what World of Warcraft does, which is why you're not really going to see things like that in WoW unless they did, I think, decently, big changes, especially with how it would impact how WoW does armor and stuff like that.
I don't think that's basically ever happening, basically. Although there is some clarification from Patrick Bordelon in chat who says he corrected himself afterwards and said, and a thigh, butt, and bulge slider too. So,
I'm just like, give everyone everything. Let them have fun.
Yep, give them whatever the hell they want.
Like, I know there's people who like say the boob slider thing, and they're just going to think, oh, well, that's just big male gaze behavior. There's also loads of women who play MMOs, or anyone who plays MMOs, and maybe they want a character that better represents them. So maybe that's going to be a part of it. There's some people, they make a character in an MMO, and it's a totally virtual character that they roleplay, and then there's for some other people, it's like their avatar. It's kind of like them, but in a virtual world. And the more that people can change, musculature and all those features, and the more the merrier. It doesn't do any harm. But yeah, I brought it because I just saw some like rage on Twitter about him saying boob sliders. Is like, come on now, come on, let's be charitable when we can.
There's Sango saying, I think Bellular Gaming needs to do react to this one. Guess you are.
So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but like just some of his examples: AOE looting, summoning stones, guild banks. I came in and was the Zolaman raid or the Zolaman patch of TBC. Instant mail, removing spell batching, other massive quest liens like the AQ gate quest. I can't talk shit about that. I'm dyslexic as fuck. Shouldn't let me near a keyboard. But there's just lots of very interesting, things I think the community could think about. So I'd be really interested to see, what would you guys like, especially, right? If you didn't play Classic and you didn't really think that Classic would super apply to you, what would make it apply to you? What kind of changes would you like? I'd be interested, because maybe there's a way where we can make Classic be this platform for a more sandboxy virtual world-ish World of Warcraft. I mean, Classic, because there's no flying mounts, it can do world PvP in a way that no other era of World of Warcraft can. So what would then happen if you just full on went and decided, okay, we are going to go and do world PvP, and we're going to double down on it, and we're going to add in, like, what if they added in little objectives and little war campaigns that different sides could fight out on their server? It would be super interesting. Although that said, faction balance on servers is an absolute fucking nightmare. And I saw, was it Willie? I think it was Willie who, I don't know if it's spelled exactly like that. I think it's Willie anyway, but I think it was him. He did a video on the faction balance, and it was just because it's not really a community that I'm a big part of, so it was just fascinating to see him just show, like, the underdog faction gets big, drives the other faction down, then they all quit, and then you have a server that's 99% alliance. Yep. And it's like, whoa. I wonder how Blizzard could fix that.
There's two solutions, right? And I think I saw someone mention this earlier, so it's not even my idea. Just hard lock the server. If you can't make a character that if it isn't like 45, 55 in that kind of range, if it isn't that, you can't make a character. So you literally cannot have a server that is more Horde than Alliance. Like, that comes with a lot of downsides, but the solution they went for was, Cross Realm, which has its own problems, has its own issues overall.
There's Hero X. I mean, that's
nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it feels very much like you kind of have to lock it. You kind of have to deal with that problem. If you want to have faction balance, you can design for faction balance all you want, with different racials, different maybe just races that people enjoy playing as, different content to do. But at the end of the day, if it's PvP focused, you're going to need to cap that within, like, even 55-45 sounds too much because there's 10% difference there. It would need to be like 48-52. And then you'd be, all the problems that would bring would it outweigh the fact that you have a balanced server, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Apparently that's actually in Asmon's post. Well, if that is in Asmon's post, then I totally, I think I'd agree with that. In a world where you then basically double down on trying to make vanilla WoW also an endgame PvP MMO if you want.
Yeah.
Because it's just ice. I suppose I think about OSRS, I think about PKing and Wild and stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I just wonder what they could do there, because there's just something that could be really special. Something could be really special, and there's also a special thing in that it's fucking Azeroth. People know Azeroth like the back of their hand. They love it.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a world where control of areas and the PvP, I mean, it's like you do that in New World, and I like New World. I had good, generally, first impressions. the areas of New World are not as iconic to people as the Azeroth ones for obvious enough reasons, right? So I just think supporting some of that would be a cool experiment. I wonder if they could do it.